Hello and welcome back to another video on the F1 Journal, and today we are looking at the new generation of F1 drivers and why I think it is quite possibly the best generation, or one of all time coming through. I mean, when you think of the new generation, despite being in the sport since 2015, it's incredible, but yet the age for Verstappen is that you still have to consider him in that, along with newer drivers coming into the grid scene such as Leclerc, Russell, Norris, drivers like that. And yeah, like I say, I think there's very little debate at the moment. It's the generation coming through is one of the best of all time. We've had the generation for so long of Hamilton, Alonso, Vettel, but it finally does seem like that era is coming to an end, and what a great era it was. But just looking at these drivers coming through, you've got Verstappen, who took Lewis Hamilton down to the wire in the championship and won it. I think, of course, it was in heavily controversial circumstances. I still don't agree with the result or anything like that, but you can't deny the fact that he beat Lewis Hamilton and stayed with him over the course of the season, however controversial it was. And since then, he's only gone and got better. He won in Red Bull cars that weren't good enough to win. I mean, like, Daniel Ricciardo is one of the finest drivers on the grid, and he's brushed him aside, as has Lando Norris. And yeah, I mean, like, what more can you say about Verstappen? At this rate, he could go on to win many, many titles with Red Bull. And then a driver who's really stepped it up this year is Charles Leclerc. I mean, like, last season, don't get me wrong, he was good, and he was probably unlucky to finish behind his teammate Carlos Sainz due to bad luck and things like that. But yeah, so far, he's taken a mistake to Verstappen. He's made very, very few mistakes. Has really been let down by Ferrari's poor strategy calls, unreliability. Where have we seen that before? Plenty of times with Ferrari. But yeah, I mean, like, you can't really fault Leclerc this season. He's been magnificent, and for me, he has matched Verstappen throughout large parts. And yeah, another driver who's really stepped up this season. I mean, it's hard to clearly tell where he was last season when he was with Williams, but that is George Russell. Yeah, I mean, like, I still think when you consider all things are equal between Hamilton and Russell, Hamilton still probably is the superior driver, but I mean, like, he is the 7-8-time world champion, the GOAT in many people's eyes. But yeah, for Russell to be matching Hamilton and getting on the pace so early on is really impressive. When you take away the experimental setups that I think we've seen on Hamilton's car, he is probably a bit faster, but Russell to be so close, I think probably closer than Bottas was during his whole stint at Mercedes. In every race, except for the DNF, he's been in the top 5, just shows incredible consistency. And for me, if he had a car to compete with Red Bull and Ferraris, he'd be right out there with Verstappen and Leclerc. And then, of course, you've got other drivers, Norris as well. I mean, like, still waiting for that illustrious win, but I mean, the way he's brushed aside Daniel Ricciardo in his first few years at McLaren have just been incredible. Taking pole position at Russell, obviously the race didn't go so well, but yeah, it does feel like a matter of time before he is fighting for wins. And yeah, you just have to hope in the long run he's given a car along with the likes of Russell, Leclerc and Verstappen that can compete for world championships, because on his form he definitely deserves it. And then you've got some other drivers as well coming through. You think of the likes of Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, who, let's face it, brushed aside Lando Norris for 2 years on the trot. So yeah, I mean, like, it's not just a big four which many people consider. You've got way more, and then people coming in through the junior ranks. Oscar Piastri, it finally looks like he's going to get his chance at Williams next year. I mean, that's going to be so exciting to see. People underrate him because he's had a year out, but considering he has won FRECA, F3 and F2 3 years in the trot, that's just absolutely incredible. I think only Charles Leclerc and George Russell have done that, so I think that's a testament to how good he is. You've got race winners Gasly, Ocon, Sainz now a race winner and now competing in a total running car and showing no signs that he's undeserving of that seat. And then in IndyCar, you've got drivers like Herta, Palou, O'Wards, young drivers who could still make the switch to F1. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that F1 is absolutely booming right now with the young talent coming through, and yeah, I think we're going to see them absolutely dominating sport for years to come. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, make sure those comments down below. If you want to subscribe for daily F1 news, subscribe to the channel, scream, and that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.